As a deer hunter, I want to know all I can about America's favorite big game animal. That's why I became a deer farmer. Without deer farms, we lose our greatest resource for research and whitetail management. With them, we gain more knowledge than ever before. Join me as we discover the truth about whitetails and meet those who work every day to preserve this great species for future generations. My name is Keith Warren, and this is Deer and Wildlife Stories. Hey everybody, welcome to the show into Whitewright, Texas, about an hour outside of Dallas, where today we're going to be showing you some gigantic whitetails, and I'll introduce you to my friends right here at High, Wide, and Heavy Whitetails. You know, I've visited hundreds of deer farms around the country over the last 10 years, and each one of them that I go to, I try to look for what is unique about them. What is it that's special, that stands out? And you know, anymore over the last 10 years, we have seen deer really get really big. I mean, there's a lot of big deer out there. And so it takes something really impressive as far as deer-wise to really impress me, because there's a lot of big ones. But the best thing here at High, Wide, and Heavy, if I was asked to name one thing, it would be Cleon almond. It's the best thing of all. Cleon is a wonderful man. He's got a big old heart. And he's quiet, he listens well, and when he speaks, you better listen. And so he has a partner, Bob Burlingame, and that relationship between the two of those guys is really unique. Cleon trusts Bob, and Bob trusts Cleon, and so literally Cleon just turns over the breeding to Bob, and Bob makes all the breeding decisions. It is a wonderful partnership that has proven very successful. And so when asked what the most impressive thing is here at High, Wide, and Heavy, it has to be Cleon almond.
Well, I've been breeding deer for probably 25 years now, and probably 10 to 15 years ago or so, Cleon and I became acquainted when I was making a transition. My wildlife biologist was going into consulting, and Cleon was another client of his, and it was just a natural marriage.
Okay, so how old are these bucks, Cleon?
These are 3-year-olds. There's 3 of them in here. 2 of them we bred with last year as 2-year-olds.
Okay, and who are they out of?
They're out of Double Wide.
And which ones are they? There's one in the velvet right there. There's another one in the velvet right there. It's them?
That's them.
Okay.
And they're just the kind of deer we're trying to raise right now, and we went ahead and bred with them as 2-year-olds. And
so you've got fawns on the ground out of them?
We already have fawns on the ground, and I was afraid we were breeding too many to one of them, just because I couldn't stand not to get more fawns out of them. But I can't see that it hurt them, but I can't keep from thinking they might have been bigger than this if we hadn't bred with them last year. And then the other buck is a buck that's out of one of our bucks that was Blue Norther, and that was a buck that's out of Cardiac Kid and one of our best does.
And he's hard antlered right now, so he's a little bit ahead of these other guys. But Bob was talking about Double Wide and how good he was as far as, I mean, he was a dominant genetic, passing on that trait. And so you can actually see in his sons, I mean, that is a beautiful, those are 2 beautiful Double Wide sons.
Well, we had others too that were beautiful, but these were just what we thought were the very best. But you know, these bucks take a jump between 2 and 3 many times, and a couple of the others were really, really good bucks that we didn't breed with, and you know, you just can't breed with all of them. So it's one of those things where you just have to say, well, let's breed with this one, and then think, well, later, well, we should have maybe used one of those others. But it's good and better to have more bucks that are worthy of being breeder bucks than to not have enough to where you feel like you've got enough to get all your does bred and sell some of them.
Well, you know, I want to point something out. The breeding here on this farm at High, Wide, and Heavy is for, they're breeding for breeder deer. Okay, and every single deer on this farm has got unbelievable genetics. Some of them are going to get bigger than other ones. They can only keep so many deer, and it's for that reason that they're pasture deer that they sell from high, wide, and heavy. That's the thing that's incredible. The pasture deer, they're bred to be breeder deer. So whoever winds up with pasture deer is going to have really breeder deer in their pasture, right?
That's right, and we've had a situation before. We sold some bucks to some guys and they were going to use them as to turn loose. And they called and said, well, if you don't mind, 2 of these bucks are better than any of our breeder bucks, and we're gonna turn our breeder bucks out and let them go to the pasture, and we're gonna breed with these 2. And we said, well, we consider that a compliment.
That is a compliment. Folks, if y'all want more information on coming out here to high, wide, and heavy, this is out of Whitewright, Texas. It's about an hour out of Dallas. Cleon, give them a telephone number where they can get a hold of you to schedule a tour.
It's 214-384-4006. And as it turns out, I get to be the guy that's on the ground out here every day with these deer, so I have to really work hard and show people the bucks and our deer when they come, but somebody's got to do it. And I have to do it.
Okay, I'm gonna tell y'all something, okay? Y'all have to understand this. I mean, we're looking at these beautiful deer out here. You gotta understand, this is really, this puts a smile on Cleon's face. I mean, you gotta admit that 20 years ago, you didn't think you'd be doing this. I mean, think about it. In deer farming, we've talked about it before. Deer are magical animals. They bring so much joy to so many people. They've helped us get to know each other and us get to know so many wonderful people in the deer business. And I think, you don't mind if somebody calls you in the evening and wants to go look at deer the next morning. You've had a long day. You like showing off deer, don't you?
That's true.
It keeps him young. I mean, deer farming keeps Cleon young. All right, so now what we need to do, I want to go see Pink 26. I've been hearing about Pink 26. Bob was talking about him. I haven't seen him yet. I want you to show him to me, okay?
All right.
Let's go. It's only a half-hour show. After you. Deer and Wildlife Stories is brought to you by Record Rack Deer and Elk Feeds, the North American Deer Farmers Association, Advanced Deer Genetics, Beam Fence Company, New Dart, Divine Genetics, North American Deer Registry, Protect the Harvest, Headgear LLC, Newport Laboratories, Superior Milk Replacer, and Dr. Ray Favero's Whitetail Genetics. Viewer feedback is presented by Protect the Harvest, Protect the Hunt. All right, this one's from a viewer online by the name of Dennis. He says, I love your show and I find it fascinating to see all these giant deer. It's hard to believe that improving genetics can result in such huge animals. What can a hunter do to help improve genetics? Dennis, really good question. As a hunter, the biggest thing I'd recommend you to do is not shoot real big young deer. Let them have an opportunity to pass on those genetics. What a hunter needs to do is to look for the inferior genetics before you pull the trigger. So discipline your trigger finger and it'll help improve genetics. If you've got a question or comment, go ahead and you're watching online, post it below. We'll get right back with you. If you're watching on TV, I want to make sure that you know that you can watch online 24/7 by visiting our website. All right, well, he's everything Bob said he was going to be. Pink 26, what a gorgeous deer. Now, how old is he again?
He's 4.
Wow. He's kind of bashful. He doesn't seem like he wants to come up here close, does he?
He's not a show-off, but what he produces
is a show-off. Look at that. What brow tines on him now.
Oh, yeah, he's got them. You know, I look at what he's produced, and I think, goodness, that may be the best out of any buck that we have. And it kind of makes your head start spinning as to, well, which one's the best one to breed with, and what do you put them with? But the thing that'll kind of clear it up for you is when you realize all these bucks we're looking at, they produce, and these 2-year-old pens, they have twin sisters. That's the case a lot of times. So those does
are just as strong as the bucks.
That's right. So you've got all of those to come up with now and say, what do we breed those to? And it just gets to the point to where you got so much to consider that you say, Bob, get to work.
That's right, that's right. That's a good thing. I'm glad that you've got Bob, and I know y'all are glad, you and Greg are glad that you got Bob, because Bob can make those decisions. But folks, speaking of decisions, when you come out here and you start picking that deer like Pink 26 and you look at him, and then all of a sudden you look at all the big deer that you've got out here. It's really easy to see how big the bucks are. I mean, just take a look. But the does are equally as big. And if you're interested in growing big deer, you have to start with what I call big does. I mean, let's face it. I mean, that's the genetics on the does are probably more important than the genetics on the bucks. And so when you can take a look at the bucks and you can see what they're producing here, okay, those does are equally as important. And those does, that's what a lot of people wind up buying in order to get started in a deer program. They'll come out and they'll purchase, most of the time, wouldn't you say they'd wind up purchasing bred does that you'll wind up delivering in probably March of every year, right?
That's right.
And so that way, when you buy a deer, you're actually getting 3 for 1. You're getting the mama and you're getting the 2 babies. And Cleon, and y'all AI every year, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, so what that means, artificially inseminate, and he is, they've been doing it for many, many years with the best semen that they can get their hands on. And that's the reason why you've got Pink 26 and all these other giant deer. So you've done a phenomenal job. I sit here and I look at it and I think, deer are, I mean, we all love deer. But when I take a look at your deer, I think, y'all are sitting up here, you know, if you go to a deer sale, I'm gonna point this out, you go to a deer sale, Cleon's gonna be the quiet guy. So look at him, he's the quiet guy. He's gonna be sitting over there, but his deer speak for themselves. I mean, when people go up there and take a look at the deer, they're speaking for themselves. And then your customers talk more about you than you do about anything. And the customers love you, and it's easy to see why. So if somebody wants more information about high, wide, and heavy, give them a telephone number.
214-384-4006.
Is Pink 26 for sale?
No.
He's not?
No.
I thought everything was for sale.
Don't do that to me.
You can see how come Pink 26 isn't for sale. I mean, look at him. Boy, he's a beautiful buck. Closed captioning provided by Keith Warren's Texas Hidden Springs Ranch. Now it's time for the Beam Fence Minute.
I'm Mark Beam from Beam Fence Company. Every fence job that I do presents different challenges. Today we're going to use some 3-inch stay wire. And what we're going to do is we're going to clip a little tag on the end of it, which is going to allow us to not have to strip off all the knots and all the vertical wires. It's going to save time. It's going to look a lot better when we're done. With 27 years of experience, if you've got hills, mountains, swamps, whatever you've got, we've been through there, we've done it. I put a 10-year warranty on all my workmanship. If you're interested in hiring me, I have several references that I'll give you that you can call. I can tell you all day about how good I am. Let my customers tell you about me. If you'd like more information about my company, you can go to beamfence.com.
Now the 3-year-olds, I mean, they're big. I mean, you've seen they're really good, but you got to realize that the difference in jump between a 2-year-old and a 3-year-old is substantial. And so what we're going to do now is hop over and take a look at the 2-year-olds. Okay, I got to tell you, they're absolute beautiful 2-year-olds. I mean, were all these deer born on the place?
Yes, all of them.
All of them. Okay, you don't really go out and buy deer from other people, do you?
I can't remember ever buying one.
Okay, but you're buying semen from some of these guys that Burlingame winds up studying. Now Bob Burlingame, I'm gonna tell y'all something. Bob Burlingame is a wealth of information. He's like the computer genius when it comes to deer pedigrees. I mean, there's a lot of guys that know a lot about pedigrees, but I'm gonna tell you something, Bob is phenomenal. And I could sit there and talk to him, it's like, it's so far over the top of what most people can comprehend when it comes to genetics and lining up genetics. In the North American Deer Registry, we have well over 200,000 deer in the registry. And when you start taking a look at it, Bob goes in that registry and he researches tens of thousands of deer to come up with the genetics that are gonna work on your farm, the ones that are dominant. And it's for that reason that you can produce 2-year-old bucks like this. I mean, tell me who these guys are out of now. Not all of them, just tell me some of the sires.
Well, we've got some out of Pink 26, the
okay.
Bucky son, and
yep.
we've got some out of Don Julio, and he's a beautiful,
yes, he is,
gorgeous buck.
Yep.
And he's producing these bucks that, when you look at them, you say, well, goodness, they may end up being
bigger than their daddy.
Is.
Right. But that's the way it's supposed to be. When you start lining up genetics right, the genetics, they stack, and they stack, and they get bigger. Would you have ever thought 10 years ago you're going to have deer this big?
It would have seemed like someone was fantasizing about something that was never going to occur.
And it now happens
10 years ago.
It now happens here with regularity. It happens a lot. If you have any questions or comments about this show and you're watching online, go ahead and post them below and we'll get right back with you. If you're not watching online, I encourage you to go to my website where you can watch 24/7. But get a hold of us, and if you'd like to get a hold of Cleon to schedule a trip out here to High, Wide, and Heavy, it's an hour out of Dallas, give him a phone number, Cleon.
214-384-4006.
And the best time to come out here is when Cleon says to come out here.
That's right.
And I'm going to tell you something. You're going to come out here and you're going to see some really beautiful deer, but you're going to meet a really special family. Cleon, thank you.
Thank you.
Let me tell y'all something. When you come out here, Cleon is going to become your friend. That's just the way it is, isn't it?
I've met so many fantastic people in the deer business that I think more than anything else, having those people as friends is more important than raising a deer. It's just amazing what wonderful people are in the business. They're people that, if you're around them, it'll make you a better person just from being around them, and it's just a super good thing.
And it'll make you a better person to come out here and meet this man and see these beautiful deer that he takes care of every day. Makes your life better, doesn't it?
It does.
It makes mine too. Mine too. If you're ready to get started in deer farming, go to deerandwildlifestories.com and click the Get Started Deer Farming tab. All right, Don Julio, right?
Don Julio.
Look at him. I mean, that's kind of like the tequila. Don Julio, right?
That's really good tequila.
Well, that's a really good buck. How old is he?
5.
Yeah. Well, just look how beautiful he is. That's what you're trying to grow. That's what the market right there is demanding. I mean, the market all across the country is really looking for more typical genetics, big, framey, typical genetics. And look at, he's got nothing but uptines. What a beautiful buck. He's symmetrical. I mean, he is a nice looking deer. And I look at him and think, okay, you've got him in here with does and fawns. Why is that?
Most of those fawns are out of him.
Oh, man.
And they treat him as if the buck fawn's like, I want to be just like you when I grow up, Daddy.
Well, who wouldn't want to be? I mean, look at him. So, folks, every single one of these fawns, I mean, look at that. These fawns living with this monster buck, and you got to think the genetic traits that are in that buck, in Don Julio, are in those little bitty fawns. And truthfully, when people come to a deer farm that's run right, like High, Wide, and Heavy is, the best genetics on the farm are the babies. It's because the genetics have been stacked for generation after generation after generation. So as you look at Don Julio here, and he's a big-bodied deer, and you look at him and think, I don't know how much he weighs. He's way over 200 pounds. I know that. I think the babies that are in here are better genetics than he is, believe it or not, aren't they?
It's exciting.
Yeah. So what's the best part of your job?
Come over here early in the morning and stay all day and just be around these deer.
And thank God for being able to live in a country where we can do something like this, right?
It's just a wonderful deal. I love it. I'm 78 and I'm having more fun right now than I've ever had. And I've had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It's really neat.
And deer farming does keep you young, doesn't it?
I hope so, because I'm going to keep doing it.
I mean, deer farming is a wonderful, wonderful thing. And being able to deal with great people is just a bonus, and being able to spend time with deer. I I mean, you gotta admit, I mean, you come out here every day and you see deer like that. Do you ever get tired of it?
No, you know, one of the side benefits is just so fantastic is the family, my grandkids, they love to come down here and be around the deer and do things with them, and it's just a great thing to have in common with your children, grown children, and your grandchildren that are grown now too. But the grandchildren grew up with it, and they just, every time they have a buddy or a girlfriend that shows up, and first thing they want to do is take them down and show them the deer.
You doggone right they do, and it's easy to see why. Cleon, I am so happy that I've got to know you. You have helped me, you've helped me be a better person.
It's a two-way street, my friend.
Well, I love coming out here and seeing your deer, don't get me wrong, but I love coming out here and seeing you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate you. And I appreciate y'all for watching the show. Again, if you're watching online, you have any questions or comments, post them down below. We'll get back with you. If you're not watching online, go to my website and you can watch all of our programs 24/7. My name's Keith Warren, and you've been watching Deer and Wildlife Stories with Cleon Allman.
Thank you, buddy.
Give me a hug. You're all right. You are all right. It's been a wonderful trip, another wonderful trip up here to High, Wide, and Heavy. And I've gotten to see some really big deer, but I've gotten to spend some really quality time with a very dear friend of mine. Cleon is a wonderful man, and he's the kind of guy that when you show up here, you're gonna think you're a better person when you leave, because you now know Cleon Allman.